Really? Yay! Wait, can I turn this? How do I do this? This is my first time doing this on the main YouTube app, because that's where I'm streaming at. Is this live? Yes, it is! Hello everybody, the Thomas Tangent channel here, also known as Sodor Branco Turco, and yes, this stream kind of comes out of nowhere, basically. So, I announced this, a couple, 30 minutes ago, I think, on my main channel. I doubt any of you saw that. Oh, crap. Can I hold this with something? Ooh, I got an idea. Let me get my dad's computer and hold it like this, and there. Is it good? Is it good? Yeah. I think this is good. Is it good? Alright, so I know that nobody's here, I know, and there probably aren't gonna be that many people, but for those that are here, welcome. I hope that there will be. And yeah, as the title said, today we're gonna be reacting to the Stories of Sodor timeline explained live, and yeah, I'm gonna be reacting to this video that I saved just for this one stream. Yeah, it was like 3 months ago. Jesus. So yeah. Do I hold the tablet like this? And think you guys can see it right now? Right. Okay, then I'm gonna close the lights. Are the lights closed? Because I'm recording this in the morning where I am right now, but it should be around maybe evening, like for Americans, or like 7 a.m. for those in Britain. Yeah, or maybe they're at school right now, I don't know. But for those that are here, yeah, and yeah, let's just commence forth, like the Brits say. Alright, where's my cursor? Ah, there you go. So, disclaimer, this video contains spoilers for the Stories of Sodor, Stories of War, Sodor Specials, and the SCPs of Sodor. Parts of this video may be distressing for some viewers. Viewers' discretion is advised. So yeah, and about the runtime, 2 hours. Before you say anything, no, I'm not going to stay 2 hours. I'm going to split the stream into parts, like part 1 and part 2. Probably like an hour each or something, or like 3 parts, like 50 minutes each. I don't know, but yeah, and I don't know if you can like tell the entire history in like 2 hours. I think that's a bit too much. If it's too long, your audience will get bored, but maybe I'll get proven wrong. Let's start.
Disclaimer. This video contains spoilers for The Stories of Sodor, Stories of War, and the SCPs of Sodor by Victor Tanzig.
Also, yeah, I haven't seen every Stories of Sodor episode, nor SCPs of Sodor, so yeah, I might get spoilers. Oh no!
Parts of this video may be distressing for some viewers. Viewers' discretion is advised. So, a while back, I made a simple video that I got maybe 10-20 views at the most, but wow. That T1E2H3 video currently has over 6,000 views at the time of recording,
There's
which
more
is
right now.
astounding. I really do appreciate it. At the end of that video, I mentioned that I might do a Victor Tanzig timeline video to help explain his own series.
And you did.
A note I'd like to mention right now is that T1E2H3 had his series complete back in 2019, and it was entirely finished. Victor Tanzig is still updating his series.
Yes.
We know generally when the series ends, most likely in 2015, as we see Edward tell the stories of Sodor to the engines on the Brendan branch line.
Yeah,
but
salty.
Victor Tanzig hasn't finished the series yet, at the time of recording currently in 1965.
Yeah.
A side note to mention
Season
as well,
5, the best season, is
Victor
finished.
Tanzig's map of Sodor is very different to that of the Railway series, as will become apparent over the course of this video, with some locations being in places that they probably wouldn't be. Events from the Railway series are also not canon in this timeline due to just historical things.
Yeah, yes, but changed.
There's errors though with that, as books featuring certain characters will be released before characters actually arrive on Sodor, so life imitates art, I guess, but I'll explain that a little later down. Another side note I'd like to mention is all the character models are made by various creators such as Wild Nor'wester, Sodor Island 3D, Mainland Studios, Sugden Railway, and many others to name a few, but not Victor Tanzig. I had to put this here so the correct credit can be given to the correct people. This is no shade towards Victor Tanzig, it's just that he wrote them that way. not created the character models as I have had some people claim online. Anyways, back to the video. There are 5 seasons currently ranging from roughly 1934 to 1965.
Yeah.
With 6 seasons still in the works, with roughly 2 specials and technically 2 spin-off series, totaling roughly 87 episodes of content. There are, of course,
no, there are actually like 85 episodes.
lore dumps mentioned throughout the series, so I've arranged them into a linear order to better understand events for later seasons. I'll take a different approach than what I did for the T1, E2, H3 video and actually discuss the episodes mentioned as
Hold on,
events directly flow into other episodes following a linear structure.
Yeah.
You know, it's just because it doesn't jump all over the place with different characters at different times having different character arcs. Croven. I'll only be making this for seasons 1 to 5. Season 6 is in production from what Victor Tanzik showed in a community post recently.
Yeah.
But that'll most likely come out in September or something, I don't know. So I won't be including it here. I might make a remaster of this video sometime in the future when the series catches up to 2015, because you'll definitely be...
Yeah, that would be like 10 years.
Season 6 and beyond, with new character backstories to explore and add to this timeline. I bet there's probably going to be something with like Donald. I don't know, you never know. Also, the SCPs of Sodor may not be canon to some people, as it is open-ended. But I think that because of that,
yes,
it could work and fit with the main series.
I personally believe it is in canon.
The events of that take place, but I will mark them in their own separate chunk of the video to show that it may not be canon to some people. With all of that out of the way, sit back with a drink or food or whatever your preferences are. This is going to be a long one.
Yeah,
as we're already
a bit
about
too
4 minutes
long.
in at this point, I now present the stories of Sodor timeline spanning roughly from the early years to 1965, with a few
Let's
sprinkles
begin.
from 2015 thrown in for good measure. Also, some of these years are headcanon explanations, as specific dates aren't mentioned with some of the events that happen in flashbacks. Our story starts in 1856, the formation of the Sodor and Mainland Railway.
But technically it starts with King Godred. Oh wait, that's SCPs of Sodor. But it is mentioned in the main series. So it takes place in like the 1800s or something with King Godred. Yeah, Clive, the introduction of non-faceless vehicles.
Oh wait. In a workshop in Glasgow during the same year, the first recorded non-faceless engine was built, named Clive. Neil and Matthew would be built soon after, being shipped to Sodor in the same year. The Sodor and Mainland Railway from Vickerstown to Crovan's Gate was completed in December of 1857. In 1879, we saw the construction of the Harwick Tramway on the north of Sodor, hoping to connect the various towns around Harwick to the harbour. Toby was built and purchased during this time to help run the line. In 1882, construction of the Mid-Sodor Railway from King Orange
Duke was the first engine.
and Duke was purchased for the line, being literally delivered in parts by horse and cart and being assembled on site. Also in 1882, the Sodor Mainland reached Marin, following the construction of the viaduct. The finances of the Sodor Mainland Railway became low at this point, with the S&M severely struggling for the next 30-ish years. In 1884, the slate mine on the MSR opened, leading to the MSR to purchase another engine, a small industrial engine called Atlas, who also helped out with the goods work.
Also, that place where Atlas was at, it honestly kind of reminds me of a place I'd been to in like the mountains. Please remember that I am Romanian, and the mountain areas in like Romania and the UK are different, but it just reminds me. Oh, and now we come to the Skarloey Railway, which was initially, at first, the Crovan's Gate Railway. But why am I saying this? I got TWR Mallard to explain that.
So in 1884, the Crovan's Gate Railway Company was formed, primarily to ship ballast from the hills to the expanding S&M. Skarloey and Renaeus were purchased in this year. In 1885, the Crovan's Gate Railway reached the town of Boxford, establishing the main ballast plant in the same year. Also in 1885...
yes, the Wellsworth and Sudbury Railway. My all-time favorite characters are in it. It's a pity they're all dead. Why do they all have to be dead? Colin, Lily, Adam, all dead. Though we do have Brian, but they're my favorite characters. One of them was just one of the kindest middies of all time who was just so heroic and stood out compared to the other middies, while the other two had brilliant character arcs. And Adam's my favorite because of his character. Like, why did they have to die? Though, if I'm being completely honest right now, whenever Adam died, when I saw it for the first time, it actually made me, that actually made me, like Adam, and he became my favorite character from the episode, because from Diagnosis, I come to realize, like his character journey, I came to realize that over the course of the series, he grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And you'll see that in the stories of Sodor. This is something that Victor Tanzing is brilliant at. Character arcs. Character arcs are Victor's strongest points, I think. And yeah, rest in peace, you three.
Wellsworth and Sudbury Railway was formed with the construction of Wellsworth Station in 1886.
Yeah.
Adam, Lily, and Colin were purchased for this line,
Yeah.
extending the line down the Brendan Peninsula, stopping at Sudbury and at Brendan itself, building the docks.
Oh,
The Wellsworth and Sudbury also built the line over Gordon's Hill, known then as the Preston Incline, named after Nathaniel Preston, the owner and chairman of the WNS.
Also,
In 1880
also, I got a question for the Stories of Sodor fans out there. Has the controller of the Elsbridge and Knapford Railway ever been named? Like, has the controller ever been named? Cause I don't know. Just for those that don't know, I make my own version of the Story of Sodor season 6 on my main channel because why not? I'm a big fan and I want to make my own continuation. And if at one point I want to do a ENK story, I kind of want to say their own controller. And I actually want to, like, has a controller ever been named or seen or implied? Because I was thinking of the controller being female. Like, I think that gives away spoilers. Oh no!
1987, there was a huge storm on the island, causing flash flooding in the ballast quarry on the Crovan's Gate Railway, trapping workmen on top of buildings and huts. Scarlow was sent to rescue them, charging for the floodwaters to rescue the workmen, at great risk to his own safety as the cold water made contact with his very hot firebox. The name change to the Scarlowy Railway following its heroism was undertaken in 1888, giving it the name that we all are familiar with today. In 1891, Edward was built to haul passenger trains on the Furness Railway on the mainland. In 1896, Edward would be transferred momentarily to the western part of the line. While he was there, he met Sampson, mocking him for being an industrial engine only.
Yeah.
While he was on this
train, again, Edward had a character arc too.
A long line of steel rails down the line,
the main character got a character arc too. I love that.
Sampson was nearby and with his very strong brakes was able to save Edward. Approximately in 1901, Wolfe was sent to South Africa to help with the Second Boer War, meeting and talking with Winston Churchill and Mahatma Gandhi. One day, the train of diamonds he was carrying was robbed by bandits, the diamonds never being found again for a long while. In 1902, the WNS expanded to Crosby, building the station on the main line. In 1903, the Crovan's Gate workshops opened, quickly gaining a reputation for an excellent standard of work, able to fix and repair any engines.
And here comes the
Carl Harrigan, one of the main businessmen financing the Harwick Tramway, whose wife Henrietta was fond of the railway. Henrietta was Spanish, teaching Toby a decent amount of the Spanish language during his time on the Harwick Tramway. Tragically, however, in 1903, Henrietta would die from influenza, and this led to Kyle neglecting the tramway, leading eventually to its closure in 1904. In 1904, however, the Elsbridge and Knapford Railway was formed, being able to take up the opportunity to purchase Toby on the cheap. He was shipped from Harwick to Brendan, encountering some animosity from the WNS crew due to the fact that another rival company was being built on what would be their line if things had gone well for them. In 1905, Toby helped to expand the line from Crosby to Elsbridge. The ENK needed another engine, so commissioned the Crovan's Gate workshops
Thomas
to build an
the Tank Engine rolling along. All of his friends will be coming along. Thomas, we love you. Yeah. So Thomas was built. And it's a pity that he's now pretty much kicked out of the series and will come back.
You may all be familiar with.
Yeah.
His name was Thomas.
The main character
of the Tramway, the MSR brought the land, using the land to expand the MSR. Stewart and Falcon were purchased in 1904. From the lowlands, Stewart and Falcon built the line, and from the hill...
Also, Stewart is a prototype, because He was based on Edward Thomas from the Tally-Clinton Railway. Yes. Yeah, and that basis was built in like 1920. Also, am I the only one who gets confused with the whole Stuart Falcon Sir Handel and Peter Sam thing? Well, like Peter Sam and Sir Handel being the controllers, and sometimes this is a very funny story. When watching Diplomacy, whenever what was the scene? I think a character said that Sir Handel's mother, the controller, was German. I was like, holy shit, Falcon has a mother. But it was actually called Falcon. Oh my god. Wait, can you guys hear it?
Duke and Atlas expanded the line, both ends meeting at Arlesdale in 1906.
Also, sorry the video is mirror. That is something that happened with the live streaming and I cannot fix. I'm sorry.
Furness Railway began to decline. The Furness Railway had been operating since 1844. Edward, Winston, and Albert were the only non-faceless vehicles on this line, with the exception of Samson, the privately owned engine on the industrial line. An opportunity to expand the Furness Railway was proposed, but unfortunately, while the investors were on the Furness Railway, a few accidents happened. The most serious accident involved the collapse of a rail crane onto a stack of dynamite, destroying a decent part of Dalton Yard. The investors were scared off by this incident that had happened, causing the Furness Railway to finance for bankruptcy in October of 1907. Albert was sent to work on the LBSCR, and Winston got sent to work on the Great Eastern Railway. In 1907, the EAK expanded to Knapford, purchasing Edward, who had recently come from the Furness Railway, the same year. In 1910, Railgate Prison was built, designed to hold non-faceless vehicles for a maximum of 30 days, or 15 years for a certain engine. As any more than 30 days would have a major impact on the railway the engine was from, if the engine was in prison, unable to perform the duties of hauling revenue-earning trains. Also in 1910, Ivanhoe joined the Scarlowry Railway, hoping to expand the line for 3 years to the various towns and villages along the river, causing the SKR to become a fully-fledged passenger-earning revenue railway in 1913. Wilbert Audrey was built in 1911.
Wilbur Audrey was built. He was born, you idiots. Also, I'm not calling TWR Mallard an idiot. He is not an idiot. He is actually very smart from making this timeline video. I'm talking about the person that made the wiki. No, not made. The one who edited the wiki to say that Audrey was built. Like, oh my god. Wilbur Audrey was born. That is just such a silly mistake. And we're not talking about the engine, you know, that a certain blue engine is based on. But no. We're talking about the Reverend W. Audrey, author of the Railway series. He was a human. Oh, go ahead.
Clergyman. You may have heard of him.
Yeah,
in
everyone.
In 1914, the S&M filed for bankruptcy, and Neil, Clive, and Matthew were momentarily leased to a joint railway effort. And considering we were in 1914, I'm sure you can guess what happened next. World War I started in 1914, which was obviously a very bad thing, but it did do some momentarily good stuff for Sodor. The main line was to be extended through Tidmouth all the way to Aylesborough on the northwestern side of Sodor for defensive purposes, but that would take a few years to be completed. In 1915, the W&S would finish the construction of the China clay pits near Brendam. Also in 1915, a new railway... And
also in 1915, the LBSCRE2 tank engines were built.
Through the hills called Ballyhoo Tunnel, later renamed to Henry's Tunnel. The previous line from Elsbridge to Knapford would become the Loop Line, an alternate route if trains are derailed on the main line. Farmer McCall's farm is located on the Loop Line. In 1915, due to signalman error,
Ah.
Edward was on the same line as Adam, carrying a fully loaded passenger train. Brian, the W&S brake van, decided bravely
The
to
only
stand
one
the
that
line,
is still
intending to
alive.
slow and stop Edward. Edward stopped just in front of the barber shop, but the barber was not impressed. He almost lathered Brian and Edward's faces with shaving cream for
Which
the incident.
doesn't sound
Jackson
familiar
Bailey
now, does
incident,
it?
our first ever mention of him in this timeline. Coming the barber and explaining the situation about how Edward just about crashed into them and was saved. I don't know, that barber, he just ain't it. In 1916, the Knapford Harbour was constructed with the purchase of 10 cents and drollen to help with general manoeuvres. During the construction, however, one of the quays was built on unstable platforms, leading it to sink into the harbour. Following the completion
Pity
of the
there
Knapford
was no
Harbour,
Percy
Nolan
Takes the
was sent to
Plunge
work as a
adaptation.
general tugboat for the Brenham Harbour, while 10 cents stayed at Knapford. On the
Tugs.
Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway in 1916,
Oh boy.
James and his partner Amanda were working with munitions one day when James accidentally bumped a gun that had a live round in it. The round hit explosive trucks, killing Amanda and heavily damaging James. James would always have PTSD when he saw rail cars or any heavy equipment
Rail guns,
related
not
to
rail
it.
cars.
In the USA in 1917, Stanley was built at the Baldwin Locomotive Works, being shipped overseas to serve in the front lines in France. In 1917, as well, the lumberyard at Carlton was built, as well as the coal mine at Marston Heights and the start of the Farquhar branch. The Farquhar branch would be mainly built by a governmentally owned engine. At Mont-Saint-Cyr in France, the British fort came under attack, and a lieutenant, a 24-year-old Topham Hatt, who was a guard on Stanley's train one day, found a nearby gun emplacement, defending against the Germans for over an hour. Topham would be sent home on medical leave, however, from this incident, as he had PTSD. The ship, the Lady Rose, will be torpedoed in a storm on its way to Sodor.
Wait, what episode is that? What
the
episode
sole
is that?
survivor, Sir Topham Hatt, would signal a passing freighter with a lamp that had been aboard. Topham Hatt would hold on to this lamp until he was sent to the hospital at Carlton. While on his way there, the lamp fell out of the coach after the train crossed over a dodgy crossing. Wesley Anderson was the main man who ran the Carlton Hospital, notoriously running experiments on some of the soldiers to test ways to overcome mental illnesses. Practices that would become banned after
memory
the war.
ablation therapy.
Topham Hatt would be at the hospital till the end of the war, having been experimented on himself to get over the loss of the lamp that had saved his life, and the PTSD he had received at Mont-Saint-Cyr. In 1917, a bunch of dynamite was stolen the day before from a workman's hut along the extension to the Islesborough. Some German spies Sodor, intending to blow up Knapford Harbour. The plot was spoiled when a nearby truck...
Though it doesn't explain why they wanted to blow up Knapford Harbour. Did they want to blow it just for the hell of it?
Took off in a hurry, having to swerve around the lamp that had fallen onto the main line, crashing into the wall as a result. None of the engines knew where this lamp had come from, dubbing it the Lucky Lamp, as it allowed the capture of the German spies. The Lucky Lamp would pass around the various railways on Sodor, always appearing at the right time. The Farquhar branch line would open for regular revenue-earning service in 1918. The standard gauge railway would reach Islesborough in 1918, creating a through traffic route from the MSR to the NWR, boosting efficiency and profits for both railways. World War I would end in November of 1918. Towards the end of 1918, Neil was sent to the China clay pits, Matthew went to work at the lumber mill,
and Clive at the
Clive helped to extend the Farquhar branch up to Renofa to form a new stone quarry, which he would then end up working at. In 1919, Whiff was sent back to Barrow, helping to build the shunting yards and the scrapping facilities. Whiff was then assigned as Barrow Station pilot. In 1919, Henry was built
one of my favorite characters, Henry.
Having too small a firebox, being unable to actually power himself. A bit of a hodgepodge. You may know of the story. Andreas was purchased in 1920 to work on the MSR.
I just noticed Lily in the background. That's a really nice detail.
In 1921, the Railway Act was passed, grouping all the out-of-control railways of Britain into 4 individual groups. These were known as the London and North Eastern Railway,
the
London,
LMS,
Midland and Scottish Railway,
the
Great Western Railway,
and the Southern Railway.
The Vickerstown Lifts Bridge was built towards the end of 1921, the same year that Mr. Starr and Mr. Zorro joined the railways. The E&K would be grouped into the LNER, and the W&S would be grouped into the LMS. In approximately 1922. The LNER crew were nicknamed the Nor'easters, and the LMS crew were nicknamed the Middies. But I'll call them by the actual names of LNER, Just for simplicity reasons, just for myself. In 1923, Gordon arrived on Sodor for the LNER. as well as Arthur and Douglas for the LMS.
Yeah,
In
and
the
we know
winter
what
of
happened to Arthur.
1923, however, Arthur tragically died in an accident when he was trying to make up for lost time on a delayed passenger train, crashing at the base of the Preston.
Yeah, the first death.
The spirit is always said to haunt the
Technically.
railway whenever someone tells the full tale,
Yeah.
always trying to reach his final destination on time. Following the death of Arthur, Donald was brought to Sodor for the LMS. Mickey was also brought to Sodor
Yeah.
at this time, becoming the designated fire and rescue engine for the next 40-ish years.
Yeah,
In
until
1924,
Mickey died. Oh
Vincent
boy,
arrived on
and
Sodor for the
Reginald.
LMS, as well as James and Henry for the LNER.
Yes.
In 1925, Patrick Clifton, a former worker
And here we come to
former
my favorite
Sodor
season,
Railway,
season
Nelson
5
Postman,
now.
was walking next to a train at the young lumberyard when Matthew would back down onto the train. Some of the logs had been improperly loaded, and so some of the logs would crush and kill Patrick. Matthew would suppress the memories for the next 40-odd years.
Yeah.
In 1926, Knapford Station was upgraded from 2 platforms to 5, with a through line on the 6th rail line. In 1928, Duncan was purchased for the Skarloey Railway from the Barnhill Railway following the closure of the latter railway due to poor finances and, very dodgy
Yeah,
dealings.
and it caused Duncan to be a,
The stock
bastard.
market on Wall Street tumbled, causing the Great Depression worldwide. While the UK didn't suffer as dreadfully as the USA,
Coffee and
everything
dough.
became a bit tight, notably on the railways. Soon, the Big Four were effectively fighting for contracts for certain trains and construction projects.
Yeah,
hoping
and
to
here
get by
comes
in these trying times.
Diesel.
Also in 1929, the fuel depot at Lower Knapford would be built. In 1929, Henry was given the chance to try and pull the express. Needless
And
to
it
say,
didn't go too
there
well.
is a reason why he mainly does goods work from now on. In 1930, the Tidmouth Dairy of Tidmouth was built. Duh. In 1931, Bruce was built by Walter Paxman, an experimental locomotive
diesel.
powered by a diesel engine, different to the traditional steam engine. Duck and Bruce, as he would be called, would work on a branch line shared by the LMS and the GWR as Bruce learned the ropes of shunting. Bruce would rule the yard with an iron fist, however, when Duck was out of earshot. Following a few incidents involving a truck being smashed down a hill and Bruce's diesel engine failing, his iron grips began to slip. It got to the point where the truck sang a song teasing Bruce about being a diesel, simply just calling him Diesel. The name soon stuck, and this is what I'm going to call him now for simplicity reasons.
Yeah.
Diesel would be
Until 1956, where it would be known as Bruce.
On Sodor for many, many years. In 1933, an
Joey.
outbreak of mad cow disease caused Joey to come to Sodor, being tasked with ensuring no infected cattle would be transported to market. And with that is the entire kind of general background to this series.
And
now
now
get to the main
we go
chunk,
on to the series.
covering the events from 1934 to 1965.
The
which
first
is
5
very,
seasons.
Very large in terms of content, so I'll try and condense down the episodes, but it will take a while. I'll mark events of significance, but I may gloss over some unknown specifically, so I'll be guessing on historical and general hints in the episodes themselves. In 1934, Percy returned to the station. Within his first
The
week,
sunshine
Percy had a
of
few
the
troubles
show.
around the Duchess contract. Due to the context of the Great Depression, the LNER and LMS basically fought over for these contracts and revenue from companies upon successful completion. Thomas, James, and Percy were the only engines available to call the Duchess contracts for the LNER, but with meddling from Diesel throwing coaling the truck into the back of Percy, the contract was given to the LMS.
But then
Percy
given back.
was to blame, but due to a witness in the form of Duck from the GWR, Percy was acquitted of any wrongdoing and stayed with the LNER. Diesel would get 15 days in Railgate prison for throwing choline into Percy.
Yeah.
I think at the end of this, Diesel gets like 100 days in Railgate, so keep a note. The British Union of Fascists was formed in 1934, dedicated to spreading the fascist ideals from the then newly elected Adolf
Oh boy,
Hitler as Chancellor
he
of
sounds
Germany.
pretty tired.
Roughly 6 months after Percy arrived on Sodor,
Thomas
Mr.
showed him his
Starr
branch
decided
line.
that Percy was capable of being shown
Boy,
how
those
the
shots
Parker
are
branch
really,
operated.
really
So Thomas took him
stretched
up the
in.
line to show Percy all of the sides. A huge stone order from a Nova Quarry had to go out that day, so Thomas and Percy alternated taking the stone.
And in that day, the first Thomas episode was adapted. Technically, I need to pause. So I said that in here, the first Thomas adaptation would be in Sodor, and I did say the first Thomas episode, but what I meant Like, I know the first episode was Thomas and Gordon, and this episode adapted Thomas and Trouble, but like this was the first time an episode of Thomas was adapted. So technically it's the first adaptation.
On the final train, Thomas would be stopped and almost arrested by a policeman under the rules that an engine must have side plates on an unfenced piece of the line on a branch line. These regulations had been out of date for a few years, but that didn't stop lectures for all the engines for the LMS and the LNER, getting the entire rulebook read to them by a person who's been described as having the charisma of a wet carrot. A few weeks later, Edward and Duke would have a discussion about Amelia Earhart, the famous woman aviator, while Edward got his train loaded with slate and other stuff at Islesborough. Stuart's train was delayed, however, but Edward had to leave without him to keep to the timetable of the ship at the Knapford Harbour to keep a contract. Knapford, who had been shunting at Islesborough, decided to take the opportunity and take Stuart's load.
Yeah, Adam stole it.
LMS and not the LNER.
And given Adam's character, in like if you compare his character in season 1, season 4, you can definitely see the changes. In season 1, he was a complete ass. He even went as far as to stealing Edward's train. But at the end of the series, he was such a humble and kind engine who knew when his time was up. And when he died, we all began to realize how good his character is, and like. That is genuinely one of the only moments in this series that genuinely like gets me emotional. Because it's my favorite character. Who wouldn't?
From Knapford, stopping Adam under Article 219 of the Fair Transport Act. A policeman was nearby and raised the alarm, stopping Adam and causing a whole debacle about Adam stole the train in the first place or was simply doing the LNER a favour. Percy was then given the train, delivering to Knapford Harbour so the ship could set sail. We are still in 1934, the construction of the Elsbridge Harbour under the Sodor construction scheme aimed at getting jobs for people during the Great Depression. At the yard of Carlton, the turntable jammed, causing James to be delayed with a train for the Elsbridge Harbour. When he was finally allowed to get his train, he stood up as fast as he could, tearing down the line as fast as he could. I think I just repeated myself, but also. One of the axle boxes on one of the trucks began to overheat and spark, causing a fire to be started next to Henry's tunnel. Causing a fire that damaged the power grid and the field next to the line, causing the LNER to cover the cost of the repairs. Wellsworth Yard would be upgraded under the Sodor construction scheme as well. When Diesel and Colin delivered a train to the yard, a stray spark from Colin caused some of the trucks of coal to catch alight. The fire soon spread to other trucks in the yard. A workman had been left behind from the evacuation, so Thomas bravely decided...
I might have to split this into multiple parts rather than 2, because I think I have 10 more minutes, and I think I'll end the stream in 10 minutes, because nobody's really watching right now. I'll probably continue the video later.
...to go in and rescue for him. Unfortunately for him, his safety belt burst, grinding him to a standstill. Fortunately for him, Colin would be able to save Thomas, allowing both of them to escape the yard, so Mickey could extinguish the fire. I'm gonna place an event involving Alfred and Geoffrey here in 1935 to give some variety.
Yeah.
Alfred was scheduled to take a very important train for the Duke and Duchess of Boxford, but due to an inconvenient placement of a faulty truck, Alfred was stuck in his shed. Spence was nearby, however, and was put onto the train, being
Alfred, not Albert.
Duke and Duchess as their own private engine. Needless to say, this event caused animosity between Alfred and Geoffrey, as it had been found that Geoffrey had been the one who had placed the faulty truck in the first place.
Yeah.
In the autumn of 1936, the LNER's Express would suffer a few incidents with Gordon and James. Gordon would break down on the Preston Incline, and James's train would suffer a leaky...
Yeah, Edward and Gordon, James and the coaches, basically.
The Preston Incline was renamed to Gordon's Hill, as he had the honour of being the first engine to break down on it. There's a minor discrepancy with
and
the
Peter
timeline
and
there,
Eric.
Tantica stated that Eric and Peter were purchased in 1936. I'm gonna put in 1935, say 1936, just to make the timeline make a bit more sense. Following the events of the LNER Express, passenger traffic was at an all-time low, but goods traffic continued to climb. Henry was a valuable asset for the LNER, as he could pull trains that the LMS had the double or triple head. He was the strongest engine on the island, and...
Yeah, I'm sorry for the time again, but I'm going to continue the stream with this video, so thank you guys for watching.